This will be for the Khan Academy exercise, Parabolas Intro. All right, it says graph a parabola whose x-intercepts are at x equals -3 and x equals 5, and whose minimum value is y equals -4. All right, so we know that the x-intercepts are going to be where the curve meets or crosses the x-axis. All right, so before I click on these points here and drag the graph into place, I'm going to draw these points on the graph. X equals -3 if you go to the x-axis, x equals -3, and x equals +5 on the x-axis, +5. Now right here it says the minimum value is y equals -4. The minimum value is going to be exactly in between the x-intercepts, okay? It's basically going to be the midpoint of the x-intercepts. So if we were to calculate that, if we did the midpoint of the x-intercepts, it's the same as finding the average, okay? You basically just add the two x coordinates and divide by 2. All right, how do you find the average of two numbers? You add them and divide by 2. So we have -3 plus +5, and we divide by 2. -3 plus 5 is +2, divided by 2, and that equals 1. So the x-coordinate for the minimum value is going to be 1. So y equals -4 and x equals 1 is going to be a point. You see, the 1 is exactly in between the -3 and the 5. All right, so it says the minimum value is y equals -4. This is the y-axis right here. I am going to take this point and bring it down to -4. All right, and for the midpoint of the x-intercepts, we said that's x equals 1. Okay, and that matches the minimum value of y equals -4. So I'm going to take that y equals -4 and move it over to x equals 1. Okay, see, the minimum is at -4, and the midpoint of the x-intercepts is at 1. So we got this point. Let's take care of this point. They gave us the intercepts, x equals -3, x equals 5. So I'm going to take this point right here and just bring it to x equals 5. Okay, the other one it does automatically. If you have the minimum point correct, all you have to do is drag this to one of the x-intercepts. And just to double check, x equals -3, x equals 5. Here's -3, here's 5. All right, so we have the 5, and we have x equals 1, y equals -4. All right, here they ask which parabolas open up. That's easy. Check all answers that apply. We see this one opens down. This one here opens up. This one here opens up. And that's it. So it's going to be B and C. All right, 2 answers for this one. This one opens down. All right, which parabola has exactly one x-intercept? Well, let's see. This should be pretty easy. All right, remember the x-intercepts is where it crosses the x-axis. And if we look at answer A, we see right here, it has 2 x-intercepts on the x-axis. So it's not A. And scrolling down, answer B, this never meets the x-axis, so this doesn't have any x-intercepts. Answer C, we can see this here meets the x-axis at this one point. This is the x-axis, and that is your one x-intercept. So that is the correct answer. All right, here they want us to mark the vertex of the parabola. And the vertex is basically just going to be the minimum or the maximum. Minimum or the maximum. So basically, if you had a parabola like this, the vertex would be the maximum. And if you had a parabola like this, the vertex would be the minimum. All right, so either of those would be considered a vertex. So on the graph, they just want us to mark it. If we look at the parabola, where the minimum is, that is right there. Okay, all you have to do is click on it. All right, here they want us to draw the parabola's axis of symmetry. So for the axis of symmetry, that is going to go through the vertex. It's going to be a line, and it goes through the vertex. All right, so in other words, if you have a parabola, if you have a U-shaped parabola, it's kind of like a U or a V. Let me draw that better. All right, if you have your parabola and you have your vertex point, the axis of symmetry is a line that goes through the vertex. And it basically cuts the parabola in half. So that right there would be your axis of symmetry. All right, so it's a line that goes through the vertex, and I guess you can add that it cuts the parabola in half. All right, so pretty simple. If I can erase this mess here. Axis of symmetry, here we have our parabola. Okay, I would take one point and put it right on the vertex, and then take the other point, left click, hold it down, and drag it so it makes a line right through the parabola. See that line? It cuts the parabola right in half, and it goes through the vertex. Where these points are doesn't really matter, okay? You can move these points up or down. You're basically just making a line through the vertex. But I would put one at the vertex and one elsewhere on that line. And that's it.